Hi guys, I'm just being silly. I wanted to talk about what happened yesterday because I was lying on the floor doing the usual for about an hour and 20 minutes. I have to get up and wee a couple of times, and I filmed it because, and more and more intricate stuff is happening each day. So I like to try and film as much as I can, but my camera's not very good. The sound's not very good, and I do want to get some better equipment at some point to try. I think it'd be really good to try and really zone in on what's happening and get different angles, but I don't have the equipment, and I'm broke because I can't seem to hold a job down at the moment with everything that's going on, other than I do sort of drama classes and children's theatre and here and there, so I'm sort of trying to get by with that at the moment. But if I can at some point get some equipment, I would like to get some better footage. So I don't think I'll upload what I recorded yesterday because it's just hard to sort of see what's going on. But so I'll just talk a bit about it. And one of the things that was, so first of all, I would say that anyone who's going through this type of process, I recommend certain functional things like just creating space around you, because you might have seen from one of my previous videos, my hands are knocking into furniture, and I had this very it's a little mat that I use for hot yoga. It's not even a mat, it's just like a piece of material, and I take it to my hot yoga sessions, and I put it over the mat that they have there, and it kind of soaks up the sweat or whatever. So I've just been using that, and then because all the bouncing around I'm doing, it was a little bit painful. I kind of hit my head at one point, and so you do have to be a little bit wise about it. And I would say create an environment that is comfortable. Get yourself a squidgy yoga mat so that you're not knocking your head on the floor, and things that you can do when this energy starts ramping up. I didn't really feel the need for that before, but now I do. And things like music. The last time I did it, I had some sort of healing music, and I think that really helped just to calm the Kriya down. There was still lots of backbends towards the end and lots of high octane energy, but I think it did calm everything down a little bit. And the movements were sort of the same sort of movements, but they were much more gentle and slow. And I think it was a mixture of that just being the energy of the day, but also I do think the music helps. So those are just practical things that will help, and things to think about. And towards the end of the session, things got really intense to do with my throat. It's been working a lot on my throat, spending a lot of time doing this kind of thing, like poking the fingers quite deeply into the esophagus, much more so than you would ever naturally do. And your throat is a very exposed, it's the kind of area that, if you imagine someone punching you there, you wince, it's quite a sensitive area, right? But this energy has been really pressing my hands into it, my fingers into it. And at some point yesterday, during the session, whatever, it kind of got my both arms in a kind of lock, and it went, I felt like a little lump, and it went crack. Like I was like, oh God. And that hurt a little bit. I wasn't like, but it was like, and now when I swallow, I feel a little bit of pain. So I guess there's a little bit of bruising or something, but I don't think it's done any damage. And I was thinking yesterday, actually today it seems a little bit better. So I think it's already healing. But I was thinking yesterday, I thought, well, if it doesn't go away after a few days, I would go and see a doctor about it. I think although this energy seems to be healing the body way better, I think, than any doctor would be able to do, or I saw, and I trust it immensely. But that's not to say that, if you feel that something's bothering you, I think it's still wise to go and see someone about it. So that's what I'm going to do with this. But like I say, it does seem better today. So we'll see. I'll give it a few days. It doesn't seem problematic at the moment. I feel fine. But it was very, very intense. And I've sort of changed my mind a little bit. The first video I ever uploaded on this channel is called What is Kundalini? And I think I said in that video that this energy has never hurt me. I've changed my mind. It's it can hurt. It can hurt. But it's part of the healing process, you know, no pain, no gain, I suppose. And you know, if it encounters something that I don't know what this lump was, I don't know how sinister it was, if it was just a little clot or something more that could turn into something, you know, sinister. But whatever it was, this energy was hell bent on getting rid of it. And yeah, so it can hurt, and I think it's to do with the degree of trust that you have. What's funny about when this energy first started expressing itself, it was very loving. It was doing a lot of this, a lot of caressing, and I think that's kind of getting you to trust it a little bit. And now that I do, it's just like like, come here, because it knows that I'm happy to go along with it, so to speak. And what it really wants you to do, as much as you can, is just be a puppet, be absolutely limp, and so it can just do whatever it wants to do with you. It's best to not sometimes you get into a point where you're anticipating, you can kind of see where it's going, you anticipate, and it doesn't like that at all. So if it puts one hand on your cheek, you can feel the shoulder about to pop, and you kind of anticipate it, and you go to put it on the other cheek, and it's just like, no, let me do it, and then it will put it somewhere else. And so never yeah, so I've gotten better at just not anticipating anything and letting it do what it wants to do. And yeah, and the more you relax, the more this energy becomes vigorous, the more it can do what it needs to do quicker, in a much more intense way. And also the more beautiful it comes, the more sort of geometrically pleasing. And it's almost like a reward for being relaxed. It's like if you chill, I'll do some really nice stuff, and you can enjoy that, you know. There's a lot of mirroring, and it's expressive, and it's very beautiful. So it can cause a bit of pain, and but yeah, this energy here anyway is very relentless at the moment. It's very much like, I guess with some people, there's like, oh, there's a little clot in your neck, let's tackle it like this, and then, oh, well, I'll try this way, and let's loosen that. Here it's just like, oh, there's a clot in your neck, is there? Where's the clot now, bitch? It's just like the Hulk. It's just like, you know, just making its way up my body, like, fuck off. Which is it's just intense, but it's also draining, you know. And there was one session where I was just exhausted afterwards, and normally I like to kind of work out a bit and at the moment all that's kind of taken a bit of a backseat, because this energy, like, you know, and I'm hungry afterwards, you know, after an hour and a half spent on the floor, just, you know, you're just like, you don't really need to do much else. So yeah, it is, yeah, there can be pain, but I think it's just part of the healing. It's like if you go and have an operation or something, you get some work done the next few days, you might be a bit sore. So is that kind of thing, you know. Yeah. And you know, when it was doing this throat cracking thing, it did look really sinister, and I didn't have a lot of fear, because when I'm limp, I feel like it's fine, I can let it do what it wants to do. If I'm tense, or a little, I'm not usually very tense, but if there's a bit of tension, there might be a sort of concerns like, oh no, I'm tense, it's gonna do something wrong. Do you know what I mean? It's gonna, like, because I'm tense and a bit afraid, it's gonna agitate it, and it's gonna click the wrong place and do something terrible, you know. So that's a potential thought that you might have, like, but actually no, because if you're tense, it won't let you be tense. It will just get rid of the tension first, and only when you're relaxed will it do what it's trying to do. It will never sort of start forcing its way. Do you know what I mean? It will, yeah. So when it's doing really intricate, crazy operation stuff, that means if you get to that point, that means that there's really not very much tension in your body at all. Otherwise, it wouldn't be able to do that. And up until you get to that point, you might find that it's just just caressing you, being very kind, but don't worry, I got you, I got this. And then when you go, okay, you can take charge, and then it will go, rah! That's my experience here. But yeah, I would like to get some better footage, at some point, because I don't know how long this is going to last. I don't know how long this is going to keep happening. So I think it'll be interesting to for people to see this this progression, and I think what's hopefully interesting about this channel is that you can really see the beginnings and this journey. At the beginning it was just kind of like, oh, my shoulders moving, and then it's just kind of like, all over the place, and to see that progression, the evolution of the Kriya from kind of basic to more intricate, and they're getting more intricate every day, and it's getting more and more strange, really, more and more strange, more and more sort of geometrical, more subtle. It can do what it wants to do quicker. So as before, I don't know, it might take its time to sort of crawl its way up to your throat and do some work, and now it's kind of like it's just able to do what it wants to do, because I guess it's already gotten rid of a lot of blockages, so that the energy, a large part of the energy, is free to express itself. It's already sort of tackled some knots, and it's just, at the moment, it's quite volcanic. And I was watching this. I'm just gonna have a sip of coffee. This guy talking about his Kundalini. I can't find a lot of there's a lot of stuff online on YouTube about Kundalini. Some of it's bullshit. A lot of it's like breathing techniques and things like that. And then there's the occasional piece of information that's very accurate, like the little video that someone's made about the history of Kundalini and whatever. There's not that many channels about people actually going through their experience. There's 2 or 3. I mean, I might do some more research, but that's what's interesting, is to see guys or gals or whatever just going through it. And I've come across 3, maybe 4. So maybe I haven't delved deep enough. But there was this one guy, and he had a very interesting experience, and he had a really rough time of it. I think for 3 years he was almost bedbound, because he had like scoliosis and like a dodgy spine. So this energy had so much work to do, and you can imagine his whole spine had to be readjusted, and that's very painful. So, but for me, this Kundalini, so the difference between me and this dude, and this might be what it comes down to, is that for me, this happened. I wasn't trying to raise my Kundalini. I wasn't doing it. I barely knew what it was. So it was very much accidental, or you could say it was very much to do with timing or karma. I don't know. But it was a natural, organic thing that happened. It wasn't to do with, I didn't have a car crash. I didn't have it wasn't brought on by intense trauma or something like that. It seems quite organic. With this guy, it was very interesting. He during a sort of meditation session, he felt the Kundalini coming up from the base of his spine, and he started to have a Kundalini experience. And then it went straight back down, and it was like it locked itself again. And he was like, "What?" And then I don't know if it was like a couple of years later even or something, he was in a meditative state again, and he said to the universe, he felt a connection to the universe or whatever, and he said, I'm ready for this experience. I want this to happen. And it did. And it was one of those situations of, be careful what you wish for, because he was physically in quite a mess, possibly psychologically as well. So there was a lot for this energy to years and years and years of intense bodily training. It wasn't like me, who'd been like doing yoga for the 6 months before this came about, and I felt very strong physically and very, very good, actually, despite my little things that are, my wisdom teeth, my acid reflux, and apparently maybe something in my throat that I wasn't even aware of. So I do have a lot of things going on. I've always had like ear, nose and throat problems as a kid, and still now tonsillitis chronically, and a lot of damage caused by acid coming up from my stomach. So I don't know if these things, it's probably all the same problem, I suspect. This acid, the tonsil problem, and I don't know, this whole thing for me is what it's mainly working on. This whole area of like mouth, nose, throat, and chest, esophagus. But I think he had all sorts, you know, and so he was in bed. He said he couldn't. He was literally getting Kriya almost 24/7, you know. So you can imagine. And he was saying that the only time he got any sense of freedom or rest was when he was lucid dreaming, and then he was free to sort of, you know, just fly around and in that state of sleep. And I think he dealt a lot with a lot of trauma in that state, which I found very interesting. Very interesting guy. I forget his name, but if you watch Kundalini, if you watch these type of videos, you may well have come across this dude. He's got a big beard, and yeah, very, very interesting guy. And yeah. And the last thing I will say was just about diet. And I don't really have much to say, but it hasn't really changed, to be honest. I mean, I think when this energy is running around the system, it will have certain preferences and things. I'm a meat eater. In fact, I was like the other day, I was just craving. I couldn't eat. I had food at home, but I couldn't even wait till I got home. I just wanted bacon and eggs and like fatty stuff, and I think it's because this is quite exhausting, and you know, you just gotta, whatever your body wants, you know. But I mean, I have no sense that I need to become vegan or vegetarian or nothing. Some people do. Some people, when this happens, their preferences change. I still drink alcohol, you know, not on a daily basis. I used to drink way too much. Before this happened, I'd kind of been cutting down anyway. But I still go out. I still drink. There was a phase where this energy didn't want it, and for a few weeks, it was just not interested. And so I even remember going to a pub here with a friend and being quite excited because I hadn't had a pint for a while, and sat down there with my pint, and I was like, I can't drink this. And I thought at that point that was it. That was the end of alcohol for me, which I'm sure would be a lot better for me physically. But now it doesn't seem to have a problem with it, you know. But like I say, I have cut down, so you know, I don't feel the need to have a drink, or you know, it is just socially, I suppose. So my diet hasn't really changed that much, and I think that aspect of it will just be unique to the individual who's going through the process. Your body, everybody's different, and I've always thought that, you know, I don't think there's any right or wrong with you know, veganism, vegetarianism, meat eaters. It's just what your body needs. Some people just can't be vegan, you know, and that might be what some people think is the ideal, but everyone's body's different. It really is, and you know, you've just got to do what works for you. So in that sense, I guess those rules still apply with Kundalini. I think that's all I've got to say. Yeah. If you're wondering, by the way, what this is the Tree of Life. There's like a branch of Jewish mysticism called the Kabbalah, or the Kabbalah, I don't know how to pronounce it. And it's just a little project. It's quite fun. I haven't coloured it in yet, but something that I've come across when this energy first kicked in. I was just suddenly became aware of all this occult stuff that just didn't make sense to me before, and now I'm sort of going into like magic shops and reading about all this kind of stuff. And I find that very interesting, but I don't. At the moment, I don't have a lot of energy for it because I'm quite exhausted. So even reading sometimes is a bit like, you know, when I'm not going through shoulder popping and stuff, or having to work, I am just doing a lot of sitting around and this type of thing. Thanks, guys.